Okay, well, good morning. Good morning to you, viewers, and those who are listening. I don't know what you're doing actually. You could be listening, you could be viewing, because we do have two formats to try and make it as accessible for you. But nevertheless, it is a joyous morning. It's a joyous morning because we've got John Proctor from the Catalyst Youth Trust, who's their director, with us today. And yeah, John is just going to be sharing a little bit about this revolutionary resource that he's got going on. So, yes, John, welcome to the podcast. It's an honor to have you on with us. I'm joined once again with my wonderful, or by my wonderful co-host Paris. And yeah, John, yeah, how are you doing briefly?
I'm doing really well, thank you. Yeah, it's been a big weekend with church and youth groups and everything, but I'm very good. A bit of, you get the Sunday hangover into Monday.
Yeah. Yeah, typical sort of
Yeah.
classic uh youth work and ministry really and all
Yeah.
the rest of it. But anyway, yes. So my first impression of the book and the resource was actually like a week ago. Pretty much a week ago, we met for the first time, and you
Yeah.
had a store, Catalyst Youth Trust store, where there was a couple of the books, so the same resource but books stacked up. And I just came and inquired and said, so what's this? This is a resource. And then you explained the concept of Hikaru and the resource. And I was just, I felt the book, looked, you kind of looked at it, and then you told me a little bit about it. And I was fascinated, just so overjoyed that we can see innovation and wisdom and creativity that can cater for young people in the kingdom. And it's just such a joy to see that happening.
Mm.
Paris, as I understand it, you also had an encounter with Catalyst Youth Trust. Is
Yeah.
that so?
Yeah. So I don't know if you actually remember me, John, but I attended National Youth Leaders Weekend in November and I visited your stall with one of my colleagues. And it was nice to chat to you and kind of get to know you and the book. And at the time, I did mention that I'm also an illustrator. So that was something that particularly drew me to the book. And yeah,
Yes, I do remember you now.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's me. Hi.
Hi.
But but yeah, it was great to see your book. And yeah, I was just really interested in the fact that it's combined with illustration. And I think that's something that really appeals to not just young people, but people like myself also. So yeah, I'm really glad that we can have you on and really just share this resource. And yeah, and something that I really enjoyed as well is kind of the kind of graphic novel elements to the book.
Mm.
Yeah, I have a background in graphic design, so another thing that kind of drew me in, and I just think, yeah, young people currently, they're really interested in anime and manga, and that style is really popular. So I think you've kind of really hit the nail on the head with intertwining faith with something that is so popular right now and engaging for young people. So yeah, I'm really pleased
Wow,
that
thank
this
you
is
so much.
something that you've been able to produce and get out there, and it's really
Mm.
great quality. Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much. That's really kind of you. Yeah.
Yeah. It is, you know what? It's so funny, Paris, that you mentioned that young people are really into anime and manga and all that kind of stuff. And to be
Hmm.
honest with you, I didn't even know what manga was and all this kind of stuff.
Mm.
But last week, crazy, I was having so we go into schools with a youth project that I'm involved in for a lunchtime session, and I was speaking to a young man in year seven who doesn't talk that much, hey. And this was one
Mm.
of those conversations that we kind of got into it, and I discovered a whole world that he's involved with. And then he told me about some anime that I think has been released, maybe recently, or maybe it hasn't been recently, but it's definitely out there, called Saint Young Men, which is really interesting because it's basically an anime series about Jesus and Buddha as roommates. And I'm so interested
Right.
in what that looks
Wow.
like. Like, that's fascinating to kind of think about that. But the point is, young people are, as Paris has intimated, very much involved in this world. And so my question to you is, what is Hikaru, and what was the aim behind the production of this novel?
Mm. Yeah, thank you so much. When I meet people for the first time, I always say pretty much the same thing, which is that in Revelation 1 we get a picture of Jesus in his heavenly body, which it says that he has a face of shining brilliance, and if you translate that into Japanese, the word basically is Hikaru. It means light. And listen, I'm a dad. I've been a youth leader for 30 years now, And I think I remember saying to you that I'll do anything that I can with credibility as I'm able to communicate to the next generation of young people. So
Mm,
I'm an author, um,
yeah.
I've got kids of my own, and really the question is, how can I inspire young people towards Jesus? How can I stir them spiritually towards Jesus? How can I introduce them in that the Holy Spirit can grab hold of and move with? And the whole thing behind Hikaru was to say, look, we know that young people are really switched on by anime. We know that they love manga, but it's not always a really positive place for them to be. There's a lot of really negative and very difficult things in that kind of sphere. And so as a writer, as an author, the idea really came: how can I write something that is going to be visually accessible to young people in a way they know that this is made specifically for them? And often
Mm,
when I show youth leaders this, they're like, "Oh, that's interesting," and I go, do you know whether you have young people that are interested in anime and manga? And they're like, "Oh, I think so." And I say, well, if you show them this, they'll understand it straight away. And
mm,
this is the thing: is visually striking, using anime and manga sensibilities and storytelling tropes, and as authentically as I can with a team behind me, putting something in the hands of young people that speaks really loudly of Jesus. That's the key: speaking really loudly of Jesus and using this sort of allegorical storytelling model, to put the gospel in the hands of the young people in a way that they'll get.
mm. Wow.
Mm.
You know what? It was that precise perspective that really struck me when I met you. When you said,
Mm.
listen, I'll do anything that's required for me to reach young people. And of course, you said, I'm an author, you're using your gifts. But it's
Yeah,
that
Mm.
mentality that I think we need for this generation. It's so amorphous
yeah,
because there's so many things that are developing and it's all tech savvy and whatever. But
yeah,
that perspective was what really struck me.
yeah,
Mm.
Yeah, so thank you.
And I think it's
yeah.
interesting
Thanks.
as well, like the approach is not necessarily reinventing the wheel, but it's using something that's already out there and then implementing Jesus. And I think that's really important. And yeah, just something that I read as well when I was kind of researching a bit more about you and the book and your team.
Yeah,
And I saw that there's actually 70 illustrations in there, which is a lot. So it's not like you've just kind of thrown an anime cover in there to attract, but you've kind of really invested in the
yeah.
art, in, continuing the kind of story, but with illustration. So I'm really impressed with that. I think that's great.
Well, we literally developed this thing over the course of a few years,
Mm,
and it feels like the world is sort of sort of growing and ever unfolding in front of us. And
Mm,
so the illustrator, she's called Dawn Southcombe.
okay.
She's an English teacher in Japan, and she's a manga author in her own right. We built this world, and it got to the point very much where at the beginning, there was a lot of tussle about what the characters look like and what the world looked like. Once we'd kind of firmed that up, though, I'd be able to fire her a message on WhatsApp or on Messenger, and just say, for example, um, I need a scene of Hikaru running through a forest, and it's urgent and it feels visceral. And then a couple of days later, it'd arrive. It's
Yeah.
absolutely thrilling. But we
mm,
invested so much time, and had financial support from different trusts that were really interested and quite captivated with this. I tell you what, one of the things that I think is really key is that Hikaru gives the young people a chance to explore Jesus, kind of on their own terms. And so when we're teaching Jesus, there's always a right and a wrong answer, right?
mm,
The manifest Jesus, the Jesus that we walk with every day. There's the right answer about him, and there can be opinion, but there's also wrong answer. The great thing about Hikaru, though, is that if you say that Hikaru is a picture of Jesus, an exploration of Jesus, then a young person's got the right to say whatever they want about that character without being wrong. And so it
Mm,
opens up conversation to say they could even not even they could say they don't even like the character Hikaru. Maybe there's a scene where he's a bit aloof, or maybe there's a scene where he's a bit short with people. And of course he's not actually Jesus. And so it opens up more conversation that
mm,
guides us to, well, what would a perfect Jesus be like, and
yeah.
how would we interact with that? So it's attracted quite a lot of attention, and I've been thrilled to walk with it.
Yeah, that's great. And could I ask, do you have any more novels on the horizon? Do you think that you will continue with kind of the anime theme, or is there other things that you're maybe hoping to explore in the future as an author?
Yeah, so I'm still very much in the Hikaru world at the moment,
Hmm.
and so the Hikaru novel we're talking about is a bound trilogy. It's three books
Hmm.
in one. It's a story that spans kind of a multi-dimensional world, and what I'm doing right now is writing the follow-up novel to that, which is exploring the world in a different way from a slightly different perspective. It's very much a follow up, but from the perspective of what if we were sort of going to mix a world that looked a lot like ours in with the Hikaru world. So, sort of throwing some the main characters in the new book are children, and they're going to
Hmm.
be thrown into the Hikaru world through a great loss that they
Okay.
experience. And so that's what I'm writing at the moment.
Okay, interesting. So the world building continues. That's
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
exciting.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
exciting. Well, thank you, John, for sharing your book, Hikaru. And where can people find that and find more about you if they're interested?
So I'm all over social media. You can follow me as John Proctor, or you can follow me as Catalyst Youth Trust. Probably the best thing to do if people are just kind of had their interest sparked about the book, you can just pick it up on Amazon. That's absolutely
Hmm.
fine. But we also, from our website, have resources so that you can buy bundles for youth groups. You can also buy our youth leader course, which is an evangelistic discipleship resource that takes people through a 12-week program. You know, go to the Catalyst website and check that out, or you can pick up the book on Amazon. That's fine.
Okay, that sounds great. We'll leave all the links and details in our show notes for you to explore more. But thank you, John, for your time, for joining us on the podcast today. And yeah, we just congratulate you on the release of your book. And we, yeah, pray that the future of your writing and author journey continues to be successful and helps other young people out there. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been great.